Friends, this is an incident that sent chills down everyone's spine. How did a poor mother get pregnant with 4 daughters without marriage? Who is the father of these children? This incident shook all the villagers. How did 4 young daughters of the same household get attacked? You must listen to this heartbreaking incident. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Friends, there was a widow who had 7 beautiful daughters. She had no son and all the 7 daughters were very beautiful. All the 7 daughters of this old woman were very noble. This woman had given a very good education to her daughters. Doom came in their life when the 4 elder daughters of that old mother were attacked, and the surprising thing was that these 4 daughters did not know that who had done this wrong thing with them, and when this story will be revealed that who was the one who made these 4 girls pregnant, then the ground will slip from under your feet. The story goes that once the court of the king was in session and the king was sitting in his court listening to the complaints of all the complainants. Among these people an old woman came crying, with sadness on her face. The king looked at the old woman's face and said, "Amma, what is your problem?" This old woman looked around the court and became silent. The minister said angrily, "Amma, tell me what is your problem? What are you looking here and there? Tell me your problem, I know, so that we can find a solution to this." The old woman started crying and said to the king that my problem, Your Majesty, I cannot tell it in front of everyone I will tell it only to you alone because I am a widow. I do not have a son and I live alone with my daughters. Know this, if I tell you my problem in front of everyone, I am afraid that my daughters may face some problem tomorrow. I want to tell you my problem in private so that no storm enters my house at night. The king became very worried and started thinking that people have come here with such big issues. And they have told in front of everyone what is the problem of this woman. Why does this woman not want to tell in front of everyone? The king said that you tell me your problem. All these people are trusted by me. No one will harm you. That sad old woman cried and said no. No, Your Majesty, I will tell you that thing alone. Then the king stands up and says, "Bring this woman to my room so that she can tell me her thing." Now 2 soldiers take that old woman to the king's room. No. When the old woman comes inside, the king says to her, "Oh mother, now tell me what is your problem." The old woman falls at the feet of the king and starts crying. The king says, "Mother, please tell me what is the matter. My heart is sinking. No. What is the matter for which you called me alone? That I can never tolerate that there is such a sad woman in my kingdom and I don't know your sorrow and heal it? This cannot happen. You tell me your sorrow." The old woman started crying and said to the king, "I am a widow, may my husband die. It has been a long time and I have no son. I have 7 daughters. I go to rich people's houses and wash utensils, wash their clothes and work in their houses and get leftover food from these rich houses. I run my household with the money I earn through my hard labor, and I thank Allah for running my household with that money. I have never complained to anyone that I am leading such a poor life. I have 7 daughters, all of whom are veiled. She never goes out of the house and always wears a dupatta on her head. My life was going on like this. Once my elder daughter's health deteriorated. I took my elder daughter to the doctor. The doctor said that your daughter is pregnant." Hearing this, the ground slipped from under my feet that my elder daughter is not even married. Then how did this attack happen? When I brought my daughter home, I started beating her and asked her to tell me with whom have you disgraced yourself and whose child is this. When I beat my daughter a lot, my elder daughter started crying and folded her hands in front of me saying, "Oh mother, I don't know whose child is this. Oh my dear mother, believe me, I have never talked to anyone, I have never gone out of the house alone. I have never made eye contact with anyone. Oh my mother, I don't know how this child came in my womb." The old woman believed her daughter and said, "Your Majesty, I gave birth to this daughter. I knew that my daughter was not lying, and after a few days I was sure that my daughter is not lying." The old woman started crying while telling the incident to the king that, "Your Majesty, we had patience over this matter. Then my elder daughter gave birth to a son after 9 months, and we started raising this child out of helplessness. After 2-3 months of this, my younger daughter was attacked. When I took her to the doctor said that your daughter is also pregnant, and after hearing this, my heart got another shock. I started thinking, who is doing all this to my daughters? No one comes to our house and my daughters do not go out either. No. I left my case to Allah so that He could tell me who was doing this dirty act with my daughters. My second daughter also gave birth to a child. After that my third daughter was pregnant, and then my fourth daughter, who was 14 years old, became pregnant. I was robbed, I was ruined, I know. I am not able to understand what is happening in my house." Hearing this statement of the sad mother, the king is stunned as to what kind of statement is she saying. After telling her story, the old woman holds the feet of the king and says, "O king, I want justice. I want to find out who is doing this wrong thing with my daughters. Your Majesty, please catch the culprit of my daughter's crime. I tried a lot to find him. I have no idea when that person comes to our house. He has ruined our lives." Your Majesty said after listening to the whole story, "Hey Amma, you are now saying that this has happened with your fourth daughter. You should have come when your first daughter was molested. If you had told us about this at that time, then all this would not have happened with your other 3 daughters. But when there are poor people like you, they are afraid of people's defamation and drink poison. And then the same poison keeps biting you. When the matter becomes out of your tolerance, then you people come and tell that this issue has been resolved, and Amma, you are also among those who have come now." That old woman admits her mistake, that I should have come earlier, but now I know I have come. Whatever has happened, but now we must find out who the culprit of my daughter's crime is. The king was very kind and compassionate and said, "Amma, now you go home. This problem is not yours now. This problem is mine now. And I cannot bear that a woman in my kingdom is so unhappy. A cruel man is oppressing a poor woman, and I can sleep peacefully. Shame on me for being a king, so you go to your home. Now this trouble is mine." That old woman quietly went from there, wrapping her sheet. She came out from there and went to her house. Now the king came back and sat down and started listening to the stories of other people. But the king's attention was towards this woman, and he thought that this woman should get justice. When the king gets free after listening to the stories of people, he knows that he is free. So he calls the minister in his room. When the minister sees the worry on the king's face, he asks, "What did the old woman tell you that has made you so worried?" The king said that there are such people in my kingdom who commit such big crimes. And they don't even think that when his crime is revealed in front of us, we will punish him severely. The minister also got worried and said that, "Please tell me what the matter is." Then the king tells the minister the whole incident and says that there is a cruel person which has attacked this woman's house like termites, and this cruel person has become so arrogant that he has raped the 4 daughters of this widow woman, and all the 3 daughters of this old woman have given birth to children. And the younger daughter is his attack. The honor of the other 3 daughters of this old woman is also in danger. We have to find out who comes to this old woman's house and at what time. After this, the king and the minister start thinking about how to find out this. After a while, the minister says, "That your Majesty, a trick has come to my mind." The king says, "Tell me quickly what trick it is." The minister says that, "Your Majesty, even walls have ears, so I will tell this in your ears. Then the minister says something in the ears of the king, that is, he tells him a trick, which the king also likes. After this the minister goes to the old woman's house with a goat. It is around 9 o'clock in the night. The minister comes to the old woman's house. The old woman sees the minister and says, "Hey minister, what are you doing at my house at this time?" The minister said, "The king is very upset with the problem you have told him about." The old woman asked, "What will you do with this goat in your hand?" The minister said, "Please let me come inside your house. After this I will tell you what to do." After coming inside, the minister started telling the old woman that today we will make fodder from this goat and feed it to this beast. You people just don't say anything and keep quiet and watch how that beast will be caught, so all of you can sleep peacefully. If our work is successful, then we will know who that beast is. After this, the minister takes the goat to the roof of the house and ties it there and then quietly goes out of the house. While leaving, the minister tells the old woman and her daughters that you all should sleep peacefully. Do not think that any harm will come to you people, and the minister instructs 2 soldiers to keep guard around this old woman's house. The minister explains everything to the old woman and those girls that no such sound should come in your house, so that it becomes clear that we have laid a trap. After that the minister goes to the palace to meet the king. The king is very worried about the same thing. The king says to the minister that, "Hey minister, you have delivered this goat just as we wanted." Then the minister said that, "Yes, your majesty. I have tied this goat there and have done all the work as per my purpose." The minister said, "O king, now you too can go to sleep." The king said, "How can I sleep? Those are oppressed women, they are being tortured. I will not be able to sleep in such a situation until I catch this cruel man and punish him." Anyway, when the storm comes at night, a shadow hovers around the old woman's house. That person comes on the roof of the house, and from the roof he comes to the courtyard. When the goat saw a person on the roof, so the goat started screaming. It was stormy night at that time. There was silence everywhere and the goat's voice was echoing far and wide in the stormy night. The soldiers who were guarding secretly heard the goat's voice and came to know about it, that someone has entered the house, and the purpose of tying this goat on the roof was that whoever comes to this house, the goat will see him and start speaking. The soldiers will become alert on hearing the goat's voice. When that person came into the room of the house, the soldiers also came to know. The old woman and her daughters also came to know that the goat is speaking. This means that someone is angry in the house. They also become alert. The soldiers also come to know by hearing the goat's voice and they enter the house. No. When the person who came saw everyone awake in the house, he started running towards the back and 2 policemen came from behind and caught him. This man had wrapped a black cloth on his face so that no one could identify him. When these policemen removed the cloth from this man's face, so the old woman and her daughters were shocked, and finally it was morning. The king's court was in session and that man was kneeling before the king. This man's hands were handcuffed at this time. The man's face was not clearly visible. The old woman and her 7 daughters also woke up. His Majesty sent all the other people out. Now only the criminal, His Majesty, his minister and the old woman and her daughter were present there. "No, Your Majesty," asked the man. "Why?" "Brother, now at least tell me that you are not afraid of me, that when this criminal of yours is caught, your punishment will not be less than death." Your Majesty asked the soldiers to remove the mask from this man's face. "No, so that I can also see who in my kingdom has the courage to attack the 4 daughters of this helpless old woman." When the mask is removed from his face, The old woman comes close to him and spits on his face and says, "Hey cruel man, are you not ashamed? No? My daughters are like your daughters, he is your real nephew. You have done such dirty things with them, whatever is discussed is like a father. Are you not ashamed? What crime have you committed by doing this with your real nieces, not just niece but daughter?" The old woman slaps her brother-in-law on the face and Badshaw angrily says that if it was a stranger, we would have thought that you were a real uncle and like a father. You did not feel ashamed, did you not feel proud? What is uncle, father? Was his father not in this world and he had the responsibility of an uncle? That I should have taken care of my nieces, worried about their relationships, and you uncle remained a dacoit. Even after this the man started saying that, "Oh your majesty, I am the uncle of these girls, this is our family matter. You stay away from our family matters, your majesty, know this." He takes out his sword and puts it on his head and says, "Tell me the truth, why did you do this?" Then the man's face becomes fearful and he tells that this king, "We were two brothers. My brother was elder to me, my brother got married. I was not married at that time. No, my elder brother loved me a lot. He used to care for me a lot because I was his younger brother, but when my elder brother got married, he had daughters. A lot of responsibilities fell on his head, so my brother's attention on me decreased and he paid more attention to his family. No, and then my brother's attention started to shift away from me and now he was paying all his attention to his wife and daughters. Hatred for my brother started growing in my heart, that why does my brother do this? And as a result of hating my brother, I started hating my sister-in-law and nephew too. After this my brother died. When my elder brother's daughter grew up, she was very beautiful. I started liking her. When my intentions started getting bad, I told my sister-in-law to get her elder daughter married, but she did not listen to me. I knew my nephew was young. They were not getting married, they were beautiful too. When I used to see my nieces, my heart used to get dirty. My heart used to force me to stay away because I have beautiful nieces. They will go abroad. When they get married, I myself will do this wrong thing with them. No. After this, a devil was born in my heart. I went to a hakim and asked him to give me such herbs which would make all the people fall asleep, and after falling asleep, no one would be able to move. In the same way, from then on, I would take those herbs and come to the courtyard from the roof of the house. He would make Bobby and her daughters smell herbs. After smelling them, they would become unconscious for 4 to 5 hours and I would have sex with the person with whom I wanted to have sex and then would leave her in the same condition as if she did not even know about it. I would dress him in those clothes and then I would return home, and when my nephew would wake up in the morning, he would not even know what had happened to him, and I had been doing the same thing for many years. But if I had seen the goat on the roof at this time and understood that this goat has been tied to feed me, then I would have gone back. I thought that my sister-in-law had bought this goat for milk and had tied it on the roof. I did not pay attention to the goat at that time. My attention was on the goat. After this, when that person accepts all his crimes, he accepts his crime. No. So the king signals the minister. The minister takes out his sword and cuts off the head of that person from his head, after which his body writhes for a while and then becomes cold as a punishment. In this way, this cruel person gets punished. Then the king looks at this old woman and says, "O Amma, if you had told me, then your other 3 daughters would not have to suffer this sorrow. But I promise you that I will fill these 4 daughters of yours with the happiness which they deserve." The king. He gets these 4 girls married to 4 of his soldiers who are very intelligent and wise, and also gives them a lot of wealth and money. After this the old woman thanks the king by crying. The king says goodbye. So now you don't have to worry. When your other 3 daughters grow up, you can inform me. I will find a good boy for them and get them married. This was the story of a justice-loving king and the story of a cruel uncle who is like a father. Know this. We can also learn a lesson from this story that if any kind of crime is being committed against someone, if someone is oppressed, then he should raise his voice for his rights. If that person remains weak and remains silent out of fear of the rest of the world, then the world will tear him apart. Friends, please share this video further and amazing stories are uploaded on our channel. Please subscribe to the channel and give a like to the video.